Hey everyone, thank you for coming. I guess we can celebrate it with a bit of confetti. Blowing it up. No, you can't see it. Well, I can, so I enjoy that. So this is my take on adoption of Julia in business, and some of it's less talked about benefits. Quick show of hands, though. How many of you work as a team? Okay. And how many of you actually use Julia programming language as the main language in the team? Well, that's a solid coverage. Well, I guess you're a JuliaCon after all. But I wonder that's probably not going to be like that on YouTube. So I'm trying to change that. So about me, my name is Siml. I'm your friendly neighborhood data head, and I work on decision intelligence. I will explain that later at LexisNexis. My experience, well, it's a mixed bag, but the point here is that this pitch about Julia adoption would apply to every single one of my roles that I had. I wish I learned it earlier. Quick disclaimer, this talk represents my personal views and not those of my employer. So what is decision intelligence? It's when you have that complex business problem that you own actually from start to finish. And solving it requires all these different disciplines. And you have 10 different data sets from different places, and you constantly have to align with your stakeholders. What is it that you're building and why? And also the work is really solved only when you've actually delivered the business value. So that's the sort of things me and my team do, and if this sounds familiar, well, you should definitely start using Julia for it. Well, why? I think Julia is the yet uncrowned queen of decision intelligence. It will allow you to learn faster, to build faster, and build better to ultimately advance your business. So if we break it down, the learn faster. In our type of work, the bottleneck is actually never the execution time. It's always the time to learn the new thing. Where with Julia, once you actually master one application, a lot of the learnings transfer to the next. So quick example here, let's say you need to write a Bayesian model that, can you see my laser pointer? Wow, this projector is really lazy. Let's say you have to write this Bayesian model to evaluate your underpowered A/B test, right? It looks confusing, but actually, you already know distributions JL, so you know how to work with distributions. You know for loops, you know how to work with arrays, and you know how to write a function. So actually, you kind of know all the building blocks before you even started. Equally, let's take a backsolve operator. It has 150 different behaviors, right? But Julia picks automatically the right one based on the inputs you give it. Same with the in function. You just need to learn one name. That's it. So really the result is that with Julia's readability and reusability, both in terms of the packages, but also the function names, there is just so much less you have to learn. And it's actually easier because you can just look under the hood what's happening. Julia's real power is not just the language itself, though. It's the composability and the amazing tools we have. It's the flexibility where you can seamlessly jump from environment to environment and machine to machine and to cloud. And I just sent a piece of code that I wrote to my colleague, and it just works. That is magic if you come from Python. But perhaps the last mentioned one is the versatility, allowing you to write in the perfect coding style that you right now need. So you need a quick experiment full of one-liners, or perhaps you actually need an allocation-free production-grade code that will run a billion times. Or maybe and uniquely in Julia, you can actually pick any point on that continuum and then later change that. So the result really is an unbeatable time to build. And you can also build better. Other languages often force you to mold your problem into what the confines of the available packages are. But the package authors actually don't know your business, do they? Julia actually empowers you to focus on solving just your unique business problem. You just define the smallest piece of it, and Julia will just make sure it runs blazingly fast. I had a quick example here. You can build an insights recommender, which actually tells people the right thing to know, instead of looking at thousands of confusing dashboards, in just 200 lines of code. You just define the data containers, some basic interactions between those, and voila, your prototype is ready. So the result is really easy to understand and less error-prone code that is actually uniquely yours. So while short on time, I'm not going to delve deep into the business case. You can check out my thoughts on that. But in short, with modest learning time investment of roughly 1 to 2 months, you can actually cut down your project completion times in half. That's really return on investment worth considering. So we've talked about the why, but let's quickly run through the how. You really need to start with the right work, the right people, and the right mindset. The last one probably being the most important. So the right work, stick to the sweet spot of the decision intelligence I defined earlier. Don't try to build next ChatGPT or update the monolithic platform, at least not first. People, the most important part, you really need a curious and brave team that's eager to learn. Not those stuck in 2017 using Panda 0.20 and constantly complaining. They will get zero of the benefits I described. And I can't stress this point enough, because all those people that will use Julia will actually have to face new challenges, and they will actually need to change how they do things and change their mindsets to really get the benefits. And speaking of the mindsets, I think I saw roughly 3 big mindset shifts that were needed to really get value. First one was using environments properly. It's what is it, how to use it, compat bounds. Sorry, Pythonistas, but like you are heavily unprepared. The second one, embracing methods and types. It's one of the best features of Julia. So your team should really spend a day, create structs, methods, overloads, break it. Get a lot of method errors, because half of their future errors will be method errors. So they really need to understand how it happens and why. And the last one, solve unit problems. Define your problems as small as it gets, because most of us have learned to always vectorize, and we were just confused about what we're really doing there. Julia will just make sure that the small problem that you defined will run fast, even in a for loop. For loops are okay. So you can build amazing things this way, and it will be faster and more correct. Few painful learnings. Don't try to convert everyone on day one. Failed at that hard. And avoid premature optimizations. Remember, it's about building it first. Julia is just too much fun, so you can actually get easily carried away. So if you're interested, try Julia up and give it a shot, because, well, with the Julia Power team, your business won't be just keeping up with the times, like it will be blazing its own trail. Thank you.
So you were, to some degree, able to come in with some credibility and get people in the team to convert. If you have people that are sort of not at the top level and want to promote Julia, do you have any suggestions for how to get the higher ups on board?
So the question was, if you're actually not at a higher level in the company and don't really decide what languages use, what would you do as, let's say, a junior contributor? Well, that's a hard one, and I've actually been asking that around JuliaCon this whole week. So the best things I've heard and also seen was do the same thing they did in Python or whatever else the other language is, and just do it better. Pick some of our biggest strengths. Pluto notebooks are incredible for their interactivity. and you can just show people the power of like gleaming insights, not waiting for Tableau to load for 10 minutes, right? Build these little things that don't cost you much effort, but really like a nail, just hit that focused point with maximum force and really sell the power of Julia ecosystem. Thank you.